Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the 7th episode of Fall Guys University. I am the Fall Guys professor, and today we'll cover the first multi-lap race, Speed Circuit. Speed Circuit is a Season 7 or Season 1 map. This is a 2-lap race. I've actually never seen the map timeout, as it's not difficult to figure out where to go. In other maps, it can be hard to figure out the path, you can get eliminated, and you can get knocked off in multiple locations where you respawn further back. This map doesn't have any of that. There currently aren't any known variants of this map yet, but variants will be added. My personal best on this map is 57.88. A lot of time and effort goes into these videos, so liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel really helps me out and is much appreciated. Let me know what your personal best time is, what variants of the map you would like to see. Maybe they could add in some low gravity or throw in a yeet somewhere. I'll share the most creative comment on the next video. Per usual, we'll cover a safer, more basic route, and then we'll cover the speedrunning route. Speed Circuit starts off with a flyover. It is a disproportional figure 8 shape where you do 2 laps. We'll go through this map section by section. A few things that can happen before we get started: you can get severely body blocked, Goomba stomped, and desynced on this map. It's even more extreme on this map because it keeps you in a fairly narrow section most of the race, and you are moving twice as fast, which amplifies the desync. So in this first section and other sections, it doesn't take a lot to make you ragdoll or get knocked off your path of where you're trying to move or navigate. Sometimes this can't be avoided and it's something you'll have to deal with. At the start, you'll need to move your camera. It's best to have it as low to the ground as possible, and then you'll move it upward to get more of a bird's eye view, but you won't want to move it all the way up because there are obstacles immediately after the first section. So you'll want to start by pathing through one of these 3 speed boosts, and then you'll start moving your camera above your beam, but not all the way above. After the speed boost, it will really depend on if you are towards the front or if you are in the back on the best way to take this next section. If you are in front, you simply jump when you get to the edge just before the bouncy section, and with one bounce you'll make it to the next section. Be careful of the spinning hammers here. You'll want to either go just to the left or just to the right of the center hammer. These 2 routes are the most consistent, but they are not the only routes. If you're in the back, you can still jump like you're in the front, but instead you'll want to just run off the edge. The bouncer will bounce you twice and you'll make it to the next section. You don't want to run and jump off the edge like you're in the front, because if you get Goomba stomped, body blocked, or ragdolled, it'll take much longer to recover, which means you can't control your distance as well to get through the bouncy section. You can ragdoll even further by hitting the front face of this wall. There are then 2 sets of 2 donuts followed by more speed boosts. Look forward ahead of time to navigate to the left or right of these donuts. Your goal is to stay towards the front. If you get mixed up in the pack or to the back on this map, it can make it exponentially harder to qualify. After the second set of speed boosts is a curved donut section. The main thing here is to try to take the innermost path and hit speed boosts. Try not to move side to side as you lose time by not running a straight path. If you are towards the front, this part is relatively easy. If you're in the back, you can get prioritied really hard, or other beams can be a brick wall and it can be extremely difficult to get around them. You'll come up on 7 stationary donuts, followed by a speed boost, which will have another set of donuts where 5 are stationary and the last one is moving side to side. Then another speed boost with 3 moving donuts. There's an alternating wall obstacle in between the donuts, but it doesn't activate until the second lap. This section ends with another speed boost. For the next section, it'll have U-shaped rotating poles. The right side will have the first one rotate towards you while the second one rotates away. The left side will have the first rotate away and the second one rotate towards you. This section is much easier when you know what to look for. There are 2 strats: running through the obstacles or jumping over the obstacles. If your timing is right, you can run straight through the set without jumping or slowing down. If your timing is off, you'll have to jump over the rotating poles. To make this part simpler, I'm going to show y'all how to gauge this easily so this part doesn't trip you up. I have a long explanation, but after that, I'll have a TLDR summary. We're only going to look at the first right U bar for this part, so when I'm referring to the bar, it's the right bar we are looking at. The reason for this is all 4 bars rotate at the same speed and are on the same cycle, which means we only have to memorize the positioning of one bar and we'll know every time where the most ideal path is. The timing is incredibly precise at this point. This means if the bar position is a little bit off, or you didn't hit the speed boost, or you turn too much, it'll throw off the timing. I'm going to number the positions of the right bar 1 to 8 to make this easier to understand. Position 1 is when it is straight up in the air. Position 2 is when it is at an upward 45-degree angle as it is rotating away from you, but it's pointed towards the sky. Position 3 is when the bar is pointed straight ahead. Position 4 is when the bar is pointing downward away from you at a 45-degree angle toward the ground. Position 5 is when the bar is pointing straight down. Position 6 is pointing down toward the ground at a 45-degree angle back towards you. Position 7 is when the bar is pointed straight back at you parallel to the ground. And finally, position 8 is when the bar is pointed back toward you at a 45-degree angle toward the sky. Now that we can easily refer to the positioning of the bar, let's go over how to apply this. All of these positions will be determined by when you hit this white line. If the bar is in position 8, 1, or 2, you'll go right side. It'll be jump over the first bar and running through the second. For position 3, go left. You can run through both bars. Position 4, go left. You will run through the first bar and you may be able to run through the second bar, or you may have to jump. It's really close here. Position 5, go right. You can run through both bars. Position 6, go right. You should be able to run through both bars. You may have to pause for a second or do a 360 on the second bar as it can be very close. Position 7, go right. The window is really tight. Ideally you can run through both bars, but you may need to jump over the first bar. The second bar you'll easily run through. Here's a chart to refer to make it a little easier, but I'll summarize this with 3 generalizations. 1, if the bar is above parallel, go right and you'll likely jump over the first bar and run through the second. 2, if the bar is below parallel to the ground, this is ideal. Most of the time you can run straight through on the left or right, refer to the chart. 3, if the bar is pointing toward the ground at an angle, you'll either be running straight through both bars or you'll jump over the first bar and run through the second. Again, I'll remind you that there is a little wiggle room here because of how crucial the timing is. So if the bar is between 2 positions, or you slow down, or you don't run a precise route, this could change what you do slightly. You'll then come to a risk-reward section. If you run to the outside, there's a speed boost with 1 donut. If you go to the inside, you'll face a group of donuts that spin clockwise in a circle. The inside route is faster because it's a more direct path, and the speed boost will last you until the next speed boost if you don't hit anything. To make this section even easier, the closer you run to the outside wall split, the easier it is to navigate the donuts without getting hit. Speed boosts also don't stack on top of each other, so it's not like you can go extra fast. The outside path is a little safer because it allows for more error. If you take the inside path and mess up, you'll lose the speed boost before the next speed boost, which can cost you valuable time. If you take the outside and mess up, the speed boost is much closer to the next section, so it can be more beneficial if you aren't comfortable with pathing. After this is a rotating hammer that spins clockwise and moves side to side. So coming around the corner, you want to take a peek at which direction it's moving so you can anticipate which side of the hammer you'll need to run. Immediately after the hammer is a bouncy section. The second bouncy section in the map has an angled section at the beginning of it. It's more ideal to jump before you get to the edge, so you land on the angled section. Navigate yourself through the speed boost, where you'll take 1 more bounce on this section before you land on solid ground. It isn't absolutely necessary to hit the speed boost, but it makes this map much more difficult to qualify on if you aren't using these, so I'd highly recommend getting in the habit of this. If you want to do this part a little faster, there's a little trick you can do that isn't difficult. After you hit the angled bouncy section and go through the speed boost, right before you hit the bouncy section again, dive and you'll maintain a lot more speed. You can even dive quickly after going through the speed boost and you'll still get some of the effect. After this section, you'll have another split. Again, the right path is faster, but if you haven't got the timing down on the rotating poles, then you could take the slower left route. I will mention that the right side may look intimidating, but you can go through either rotating pole. If one is off cycle, then usually you can go through the other one, which will be on cycle. You may need to slow down or wait for just a split second. On the outside, you'll have a speed boost followed by another 2 half wall obstacle that goes up and down. For the half wall, you need to be looking ahead so you can anticipate which side you need to go through. And if you need to slow down a little to get through this cleanly, that's fine. After the split, it comes back together and there's another set of clockwise spinning donuts, but this time it has a stationary bigger donut in the middle. The last section is an upper and lower section. I found the lower section is much smoother and consistent most of the time. They are the same speed or the difference is negligible, but you can mess up a lot more by going up the red ramp and hitting off the bouncy section to start your second lap. I'd highly recommend never going up top. There isn't any real advantage, but it could put you at a disadvantage if your mechanical skills and jump timing aren't precise. The only thing that changes on the second lap is when you go up the turning donut and speed boost section. On the final set of donuts, 2 half walls will be moving up and down. If you realize there are a lot of beans in front of you, you'll want to take riskier paths towards the end to make sure you qualify. Now let's go to the speedrunner section. I'll go over the quickest route here. There aren't a lot of shortcuts or skips on this map. This route will be more of min-maxing your movements and utilizing obstacles to their fullest potential. On lap 1, for the bouncy section, there is a decline right at the beginning of the bouncy section. You'll need to be very precise to hit this, but you'll jump where you land right at the beginning of the bouncy section. As soon as you hit this, dive and you'll maintain much more speed and you'll land perfectly past the bouncy section. On the next donut and speed boost turn, hug the inside wall and make the straightest line possible from speed boost to speed boost. Depending on your timing, you'll go left or right, and hopefully you won't have to jump while going through the rotating poles. Take the most inside path you can through the spinning donuts. It's possible to get a little donut boost if you hit the donut just right. However, be careful because you can ragdoll as well. Avoid the hammer. Land on the decline bouncy section so you can hit the next speed boost. Dive before you hit the bouncy section again and you'll maintain your speed much more efficiently. Navigate the next obstacle, hit the speed boost, and squeeze as tight as you can to the inside of the circular donut section. Bunny hop off the downslope and hit the next speed boost for your second lap. I talked about this in the more basic section, but the difference between the top and bottom section right before the finish line is negligible, and a lot more can go wrong by going up top than it can if you stayed on the ground. Everything will be the exact same on the second lap, with the exception of the 2 half walls that move up and down on the second lap. The last thing that isn't consistent but is a glitch that can help you is falling through the crack or falling through the map around the crack right here. If you do this, it'll spawn you forward just before the finish line. I've noticed this happens more often when you don't dive right before hitting the bouncer, and it's not something that's consistent. Sometimes you'll hit the crack and stop, sometimes you'll land on the crack and ragdoll, and rarely you can fall through the map. A few things that will hurt runs are random cracks can stop your momentum, which is extremely annoying when you're trying to go for a speed run or world record, as there isn't any rhyme or reason as to when these cracks affect you. Another bean's desync can stop your bean or make you hit an object you shouldn't have hit. It can also slow you down when going past obstacles. Let's review these two, and then I'll show you this in action on my best speedrun. Basic review. At the start, move your camera. This map will play two different ways, and that'll depend if you're out in front or stuck in the pack. Hug the inside wall and take the most direct path with very little side-to-side movement. Hit the speed boost everywhere you can. For the U-bar, focus on the front right one as you approach the white line. What position is it in? Use the table. Once you do this a handful of times, it'll start to become natural. If you're in front, maybe you take the safer outer path. If you're in the back, you'll need to take the inside path at the splits. Use the angled bouncer on the big section and dive shortly after going through the speed boost. Do not take the upper route at the end. On lap 2, prepare for the first sets of donuts to move and the first half wall. For speedrunning, use the angled bouncer sections in the map and dive to maintain momentum. Hug the inside and keep a direct path. Beginner might sound like an insult, but it's not. Go to the beginner section to review the U-bar section. Hug the inside and try to donut boost. For lap 2, the only difference is the first sets of donuts will be moving and the half wall will be active. Avoid cracks, especially landing close to them, as sometimes there isn't any rhyme or reason as to why they affect you. I got my 57.88 while offline, but I have a bunch of 58-second speedruns, so we'll show one of those. After that will be the most amazing speed circuit comeback after not making a single mistake, but the game decided otherwise. Enjoy.